Have you ever walked away from a discussion feeling like you lost a knot in your throat, as if every word you spoke only weakened your position? Perhaps you're surrounded by people who speak loudly, who interrupt, who dominate rooms with an arrogance they disguise as confidence. And maybe you've been led to believe that staying silent is weakness, that not defending yourself is surrender, that not reacting is losing. But what if this is an illusion? What if true power has never been in the volume of your words, but in their deliberate absence? Thinkers like Nietzsche saw something few admit. Those compelled to react are already controlled. Those who must constantly explain themselves are at a disadvantage. In a world obsessed with noise, one that teaches us to treat every conversation like a battle, there is a more subtle, intelligent, and powerful path. It's the understanding that silence is not an absence of noise, but an overwhelming presence. It disconcerts, it destabilizes, it forces others to confront themselves. This is for you who feels ignored, overshadowed, or invalidated. For you who is tired of being the easy target, the one who keeps the peace while others take advantage. Today, I will show you that your silence can be your most powerful weapon. Get ready to see it not as an absence of response, but as the definitive response. Why do we feel an overwhelming need to respond? To rebut, correct, and prove we are right? It's because we're conditioned to believe that if we remain silent, we let others win. But this impulse is a symptom of our deepest weakness, the fear of appearing weak. It's the ego, fragile and insecure, that cannot stand being questioned. The moment you feel attacked, your instinct is to defend or counterattack. In that moment, the other person has pulled a string, and you have danced. They are in control. The person who remains calm and silent in the face of provocation communicates something different. It isn't passivity, it is unshakable inner strength. Their silence acts as a shield. It deflects emotional barbs and creates a psychological void that is deeply uncomfortable for the aggressor. They expect a fight, and when they get none, they are left alone with the echo of their own words. This is where the power shifts. By refusing to play their game, you force them to play yours. They might become louder or more aggressive, desperate for a reaction. As they do, they are the ones expending energy, revealing their emotional state and their weaknesses. And you are the silent observer, gathering data, watching them unravel in their need for validation. Mastering this requires separating your ego from the conversation. An attack on your idea is not an attack on your soul. When you can sit with that discomfort without rushing to your defense, you have taken the first step. Your silence becomes a statement. Your words have no power over me. The person who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled, and the person who cannot be controlled holds the power. Silence on its own can be mistaken for fear. To become a dominant force, your silence must be filled with presence. Some people reconfigure a room simply by entering. Their power isn't in their words, but in their very being. They project a calm, grounded energy that commands attention before they ever speak. Presence is rooted in something primal. For millennia, social rank was determined not by who was loudest, but by who projected quiet authority. Think of the difference. The person who nervously fidgets and avoids eye contact, their silence screaming anxiety, versus the person who sits still, centered, with a steady and observant gaze. Their silence radiates power. To cultivate this, you must become aware of your body. Do you carry yourself with apology or with purpose? An upright but relaxed posture, deliberate, unhurried movements, and the ability to hold calm, direct eye contact are the foundations. These are not acts of aggression, but signals of profound self-assurance. You take up space because you are not afraid to be seen. When you combine this physical presence with silence, you create a gravitational pull. In a meeting where everyone is talking over one another, the person who is silent but powerfully present becomes an anchor. The chaos swirls around them but does not touch them. Soon, others begin to notice. They become aware of their own frantic energy in contrast to your composure. Your silence becomes a vacuum, and their nervous chatter rushes to fill it. Unconsciously, they look to you for cues, ceding control of the room's emotional temperature. This is internal strength manifesting as external power. You are not trying to control others with force. You are becoming so internally composed that others are compelled to adjust to your state. They will quiet down. They will look to you. Your presence has done what shouting never could. It has commanded true respect. Before sophisticated language, our ancestors established hierarchies through a more primal communication, nonverbal cues, a look, a gesture, a shift in posture. These are direct expressions of our internal state. You must become fluent in this silent language. Most people constantly broadcast their thoughts and feelings without realizing it. The person who feels insecure crosses their arms, creating a barrier. The person who is lying breaks eye contact at the crucial moment. While you practice strategic silence, you are not just being quiet. You are becoming a master observer, a detective of the human psyche. Your silence gives you the unique advantage of focusing on these signals. Does the manager who says, "I'm open to feedback," do so while leaning back with arms crossed? Does the negotiator who claims, "This is our final offer," do so while nervously tapping their fingers? These are the cracks in their armor, invisible to those too busy formulating their own next sentence. At the same time, you must master your own nonverbal signals until you're unreadable. Your goal is to project calm confidence while giving away nothing. This means eliminating nervous habits, no leg shaking, no pen clicking. Your gestures must be minimal and deliberate. A slow, intentional nod can be more powerful than a verbal agreement. A steady, unbroken gaze can convey more resolve than any threat. You must harness your impulses. Instead of letting your emotions leak out through unconscious gestures, you channel that energy into a controlled, composed demeanor. You become a psychological fortress. Others may try to read you, but they will be met with a calm, neutral facade. This impenetrability is unnerving to those who rely on emotional reactions to manipulate others. They are working in the dark, while you are observing them in broad daylight. In any power dynamic, there are two positions: the performer and the audience. The performer is on display, seeking validation, open to judgment. The audience holds the power, observing and analyzing. The mistake most people make is rushing to be the performer. Strategic silence is the ultimate tool for shifting yourself into the role of the observer. When you are not speaking, you are free to truly listen, not just to words, but to undercurrents. What are the hidden agendas, the unspoken fears? While others are caught up in the drama of their performance, you are seeing the entire stage, including the ropes and pulleys behind the curtain. This is an active process of intelligence gathering. You aren't just waiting for your turn to talk. You are analyzing the situation, identifying the core issue, and formulating a plan. This allows you to move from reactive, emotional thinking to a thoughtful, strategic mindset. This makes your eventual contribution exceptionally powerful. Because you have listened, you can speak to the heart of the matter. You can dismantle an entire argument with a single, well-timed question that exposes a contradiction you noticed while they were speaking. Your words have weight because they are rare and precise. Contrast this with the person who talks constantly. Their words become background noise. The silent observer holds their cards close. They wait, they watch, they let others exhaust themselves. Then, with surgical precision, they make their move. By choosing observation over display, you conserve your energy, multiply your influence, and ensure that when you finally break your silence, the entire room will listen. Philosophies like Nietzsche speak of a will to power, a concept often misunderstood as a brutish desire to dominate others. The more profound interpretation is about a different kind of power, the power of self-mastery. The ultimate expression of power is not controlling an empire, but controlling oneself. This is the final key. Every strategy we've discussed, non-reaction, presence, observation, is a manifestation of this internal self-mastery. The person who is a slave to their impulses, who reacts to every slight, who needs constant validation, is commanded by the world around them. But the person who has mastered themselves, who can choose their response, who can endure the discomfort of silence regardless of external pressure, that is the person who holds true power. This power is far more resilient than mere vocal dominance. It's the difference between a king who rules by shouting orders and a king whose quiet confidence is so absolute that his subjects obey out of respect. The first constantly fights to maintain control. The second rules effortlessly because his power comes from within. Each time you choose silence over needless reaction, you strengthen this internal mastery. You are teaching yourself that your sense of control and worth comes from you, not from winning an argument. This is how you truly outsmart anyone. You are not just playing a different game, you are operating on a different plane. While others are engaged in a surface-level battle of words and egos, you are forging an unshakable inner self. This internal strength is something others can feel. It is intimidating, not because it is aggressive, but because it is unbreakable. They sense they cannot manipulate you, provoke you, or control you. You have become the master of your own universe. In any room, that makes you the most powerful person present. We have journeyed through a philosophy that uncovers the power lying not in our words, but in our disciplined silence. From the shield of non-reaction to the profound strength of self-mastery, these strategies are a blueprint for psychological sovereignty. They are tools to transform you from a reactor into an actor, from someone swayed by the noise of others into the calm center of gravity in any interaction. The world is a noisy place, but you now possess a different path. You understand that true strength isn't about shouting louder, but about developing an inner composure so profound that your silence carries more weight than 1,000 speeches. The challenge now is to apply it. The next time you feel the urge to jump into a pointless debate, try an experiment. Stay silent, observe, project presence, and watch what happens. Now, I want to hear from you. Share an experience in the comments below where you use silence to your advantage, or witness someone else do it effectively. What was the situation, and what was the outcome? Your story could be the lesson someone else needs to hear. Remember, the goal is not to be silent. The goal is to have the choice.